Witam wszystkich bardzo serdecznie z tej strony Koko i kolejny odcinek gry pod tytułem Zło, które żyje pod słońcem. Zaczynamy!
I was in my room, as yet unaware of the tragedy.
No to kochani, zostało popełnione morderstwo. Wyjdziemy teraz na korytarz i wydaje mi się, że powinniśmy udać się do gabinetu dyrektorki. Chodźmy.
Monsieur Poirot, I'm sorry, my nerves.
Madame, has something happened?
Don't you know? The police have been here for an hour at least.
The police?
In Cutter's Cove. It's Mrs. Marshall. She's been murdered. Please excuse me.
Dobrze, no to my też wyjdziemy. Gladys, porozmawiaj z nią.
Oh, sir. Sir, it's terrible.
No nie udało się z Gladys porozmawiać, więc wyjdźmy przed hotel. Chodźmy tutaj. O, są Gardenowie.
Please, not now, Monsieur Poirot. My wife is too distraught to speak.
O rany. To chodźmy dalej. Może zejdźmy tutaj.
Mr. Poirot, there you are.
Mademoiselle, what has occurred?
It's Mrs. Marshall. Mr. Redfern and I found her in Cutter's Cove. She's been strangled.
Mademoiselle, may I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Czy nie przewiozłaby mnie pani łodzią do Zatoki Cuttera?
Can you row me to Cutter's Cove?
Mr. Poirot, after your efforts to find Millie's killer, I'll row you any time you like. You need only ask me. Climb in.
Oh, Poirot! At last. Listen, you know how strapped I am right now with the evacuation, the Home Guard, and now fifth columnists? If you could leave the investigation, I would be in your debt.
I will help in any way I can, my friend.
Thank you. You just missed Dr. Neasden, the coroner. My men have done a cursory search of the cove. We'll be back shortly to collect the remains and with equipment to do a better job.
Kto cię wezwał?
Who called you?
George Strum, bathing beach attendant, showed up on my doorstep. Miss Brewster sent him. As luck would have it, Neasden was with me, so we came right over.
Co doktor stwierdził na temat godziny
What
zgonu?
could Dr. Neasden tell you about the time of death?
He put the time of the murder at somewhere between 11:15 and 12:20, just before Redfern and Miss Brewster showed up.
The cause of death was strangulation?
Oh yes, no doubt about that. The handprints are very clear on the neck. Neasden may be able to tell us more after the autopsy, but it's pretty clear a very strong pair of hands did that to her. That's all I have for now. Poirot, I hate to drop this thing in your lap like this.
Do not concern yourself, my friend.
Look around all you like. I'll make sure everyone knows you speak with my authority. I'll do a background check on everyone on the island. I should have a report for you at the police station later this afternoon.
Thank you, Colonel.
To przyjrzyjmy się zwłokom.
You aren't going to look at her face, are you? The investigator of murder cannot be squeamish, Hastings?
Still, if you assure me of the facts, there isn't any real need, is there?
As you wish. I state categorically that Mrs. Marshall was strangled to death by a very powerful pair of hands.
Hello, something was dumped here. What does it smell like, Poirot?
Coffee. This is certainly significant. Elena's coffee flask.
To zabierzemy. A to jest istotne, powiedział. Czy mamy nożyczki? O tak, to może...
I'll just snip a piece of the fabric from the hat.
To wszystko?
Mrs. Marshall was strangled to death by a very powerful pair of hands.
Porozmawiamy teraz z Patrykiem.
What? Oh, Poirot.
May I put to you some questions, Monsieur Redfern?
Jak to się stało, że pan i Mademoiselle Brewster wspólnie pływaliście na łódce?
How did you and Mademoiselle Brewster come to be rowing together?
I asked Miss Brewster if I could join her.
Why did you do that? Monsieur Redfern, there is no longer the luxury of playing the little games. Now is the time for truth.
Elena and I were accustomed to swimming together each morning. When I didn't see her on the beach, I went looking for her. She wasn't up at the hotel. I saw Miss Brewster getting the rowboat ready. That's when I got the idea that if we rowed around the island, I might find her, Elena. I offered to row first. We set off.
A w której godzinie pan tu przyszedł?
What time did you arrive here?
Sometime before 12. I don't know exactly.
Proszę mi powiedzieć, co pan pomyślał, zobaczywszy panią Marshall?
Tell me what you thought when you saw Mrs. Marshall.
Well, I was put out, if you must know. I couldn't understand why she hadn't met me. I couldn't understand it at all. I rowed for the beach. I wanted to find out what she was doing.
Co stało się po tym, jak łódź przybiła do brzegu?
What happened after the boat beached?
I called out to her, but she didn't answer. She just lay there. I went over to her. There was something strange. She was so still. I knelt beside her, touched her hand, then her arm. She didn't react at all. Then I lifted her hat. My God, her face, Poirot. It was dark, mottled. Those marks, handprints on her neck.
Steady.
I'm sorry. She was so beautiful. How could anyone spoil that?
Kto poszedł po pomoc?
Who went for help?
Miss Brewster, I had this idea. I wanted to protect Elena. It's stupid, I know. She was beyond anyone's protection. I sat near her, then couldn't take that anymore, and came over here and waited until the police were.
Is there anything you saw or thought that might help us?
I'm sorry. Let me think.
Take your time.
There was one thing. I heard a noise while I was still over near Elena.
What was it?
A clatter on the rocks near the ladder. Something falling. Not a rock, though. Something light.
I may have more questions for you later.
Dobrze, to może się rozejrzyjmy tutaj. Chodź. O, coś tutaj jest.
Poirot will not be climbing up the ladder?
Tak, ale chodzi mi o to, żebyś na to
Or
zerknął.
the ladder that has collapsed?
Coś tutaj? Nie? Dobra, to idziemy dalej. Idziemy. Tutaj nic, nic. O, wejdźmy tutaj do środka. A to mamy zabrać? O, to mamy zabrać. To zaraz. Weź. Później to
A
pooglądamy.
smash bottle with a bit of fluid left in it.
And the fluid has the distinctive odor of an expensive perfume?
Tu widziałam oko.
That mud looks like it was placed there deliberately. And there's something shiny underneath.
Nie wiem, może o tym?
I say, a six-sided metal receptacle hidden by the mud. The mud must have been applied fairly recently, and the metal looks shiny, almost new. And that shape, it reminds me of something. It's like the receptacle for a winch handle you find on the masts of some sailboats to winch the sail up and down.
A, o, jest coś.
Looks like a dart. The carving is quite old.
Coś jeszcze? Idziemy dalej. I to miałeś zabrać.
A torn piece of green fabric. The same color as Elena Marshall's hat.
Dobrze, teraz zobaczmy to, co znaleźliśmy. Dobrze, to porozmawiamy teraz, właściwie przesłuchamy panią Emilię.
I would like to put to you the questions, if I may.
Of course.
Jak to się stało, że pani i pan Redfern wspólnie pływaliście na łódce?
How did you and Monsieur Redfern come to be rowing together?
After you saw me at Rocky Bar, I changed and was about to set out on my morning row when Mr. Redfern asked if he could join me.
O której godzinie pani tu dotarła?
What time did you arrive here?
We arrived on the beach at 11:45. We must have come in sight of the cove 5 minutes before that.
Proszę mi powiedzieć, co pani pomyślała, zobaczywszy panią Marshall?
Tell me what you thought when you saw Mrs. Marshall.
Nothing at first. I assumed she was sunning herself.
And then?
Well, the first thing I noticed was she was lying as if she was sunbathing, but she was in the shade of the cliffs. Then, when Mr. Redfern called out and she didn't answer, that felt odd too. Once we were out of the boat, I could tell there was something unnatural in the way she was lying. Her arms.
O której to było godzinie?
What time was this?
He wanted to row right round the island, so I checked my watch. It was not quite 11:30.
Czy pan Redfern często pani towarzyszył?
Did Monsieur Redfern often accompany you?
No, this was the first time. If you ask me, he was looking for Mrs. Marshall. He volunteered to take the oars first.
Co stało się po tym, jak łódź przybiła do brzegu?
What happened after the boat beached?
Mr. Redfern and I approached Mrs. Marshall. I could see he thought the situation wasn't right as well. He knelt beside her, touched her hand, then her arm, then he started to lift her hat. He saw her face and cried out.
Kto poszedł po pomoc?
Who went for help?
I did. We both knew someone had to. I'm not the kind of woman who would ever admit to feeling fear, but I was secretly thankful when Mr. Redfern offered to stay with the body.
I understand perfectly, mademoiselle. You must have reproached yourself.
Czy widziała albo pomyślała pani coś, co mogłoby nam pomóc?
Is there anything you saw or thought that might help us?
No, I don't believe so. Yes, there is something. She was strangled, just like Millie and the other woman, Alice Corrigan. 3 women strangled in South Devon within a few months of one another. Can that be just coincidence?
Anything is possible, mademoiselle. But I will agree that coincidence in this case seems highly unlikely. I may have more questions for you later.
Of course.
To
Can you
co?
row me back to the
Wracamy,
bathing
nie?
beach?
Of course. Would you like to leave now?
Tak, dziękuję pani.
Yes, thank you.
No to chodźmy dalej. Musimy przesłuchać podejrzanych. Najpierw pójdziemy sobie do ptasiej ostoi. Porozmawiamy z Lindą, jeżeli tam będzie. O, jest.
Hello, Monsieur Poirot. I'm sorry. I know I should have stayed at the hotel, but I had to get away.
It is of no matter, mademoiselle. I knew I should find you here. May I ask the questions?
Yes.
Can you tell me how you spent the morning?
After breakfast, I came here to Sanctuary Cove with Christine, Mrs. Redfern.
Co robiłyście po dotarciu tutaj?
What did you do when you got here?
I swam, then sunbathed, while Christine sketched the gully moors. Then later I went back in for a bathe, and Christine went back to the hotel to get changed for tennis.
Kiedy to było?
When was that?
We started off from my room just before the half hour, 10:25.
Czy lubiłaś swoją macochę, mademoiselle? Wiesz przecież, że
Did
nie.
you like your stepmother, mademoiselle?
Oh yes, Arlena was kind to me.
Czy twój ojciec kłócił się kiedykolwiek z twoją macochą?
Did your father and your stepmother ever quarrel?
Oh no, Father doesn't quarrel with people. He's not like that at all.
Czy masz jakiś pomysł, kto mógłby chcieć zabić twoją macochę?
Have you any idea who might have wanted to kill your stepmother?
Well, I hate to say it, but Mrs. Redfern might want to. Her husband was in love with Arlena after all. Not that I think she would really want to kill her. I mean, she'd just feel that she wished she was dead. Monsieur Poirot, that isn't the same thing at all, is it?
No, it is not at all the same.
O której godzinie pani Redfern cię opuściła?
What time was it that Mrs. Redfern left you?
12:45.
Are you sure of that time?
Oh yes, she asked me. She didn't want to miss her tennis game. I looked at my watch. It was 11:45. It keeps very good time. I know I can't show you now. I left it in my room when I changed after bathing.
Kiedy wróciłaś do hotelu?
When did you return to the hotel?
Just about 1 o'clock. And then I heard about Arlena.
Realizowałaś dziś receptę dla swojej macochy?
You filled a prescription for your stepmother today?
What? Oh, yes. Yes, I did. Just a while ago. Trinal.
And where is the Trianol now?
I put it in her room. There are evil people in the world. They need to be punished. But Mrs. Redfern isn't evil. I don't want her to get into trouble. She loves her husband, that's all. Don't you think?
I think she loves him very much. Oui, mademoiselle.
Look here, Poirot. There are quite a few more things we should be asking her. She clearly wasn't telling the truth about her feelings for Arlena, or about her father and Arlena never fighting.
Hastings, that is a very troubled child. I think it would be very unwise to press her. Besides, there is still more we need to discover about the events at Miss Potter's school for the young ladies.
Dobrze, to idziemy dalej. Na spytki, to znaczy chciałam powiedzieć, przesłuchać podejrzany. Chodźmy tędy. Tutaj mamy... O,
Do
porozmawiać
not
z nim.
disturb him, Hastings. We may be able to take advantage of his absence from the beach.
Na plażę mamy iść, dobra. Chodźmy tędy. Tędy. I chodź tutaj. O, rozmawiamy z nimi. Może teraz się nam uda.
May I have a word with you?
Colonel Weston told us to cooperate with you, Mr. Poirot, and of course we will, in any way we can. But this has been a very bad shock to me, and Mr. Gardner is always very, very careful of my health. Isn't that so, Oakley?
Yes, darling, Mrs. Gardner is very sensitive.
I appreciate you speaking with me.
Spędziliście poranek tutaj, spoglądając na plażę.
You spent the morning here, overlooking the beach?
Yes, we did. And not the slightest idea in our minds of what was happening just around the corner in that little cove.
I byliście tutaj państwo przez cały czas.
And you were here the entire time?
Yes, both of us. From nearly 10:25, until Oakley went to play tennis at 12. Isn't that right, Oakley?
Well, not exactly. I did run off to fetch your purple wool, if you'll remember. That was around 11 by the hotel clock. It took quite a few minutes to find it, I'm afraid. 15 minutes, possibly 20.
No more than 10 minutes, surely. I barely missed you.
Methinks she protests too much, Poirot. What is she frightened of?
It is a question we must learn the answer to, my friend.
Widzieliście w ogóle dziś Madame Marshall?
Did you see Madame Marshall at all today?
We? But that is to say, no. I said to Oakley, why, wherever can she have got to this morning? First her husband comes looking for her, and then that good-looking young man, Mr. Redfern. I always wondered, why must he go running after that woman when he has that nice, pretty wife, all of his own, didn't I, Oakley?
Yes, darling.
She can babble all she likes, but I heard that hesitation, Poirot.
Czy zauważyli państwo coś, co może być powiązane ze sprawą?
Did you notice anything that might have a bearing upon the case?
Why, no, I don't think so. Just that she was always around with young Redfern. Anyone can tell you that.
Did her husband mind, do you think?
Captain Marshall is a very reserved man.
That is all the questions I have for the moment.
We're devastated. We know nothing that could help. Aren't we, Oakley?
Yes, darling.
Dobrze, to sprawdźmy to kąpielisko. Porozmawiaj z nim.
I must speak with you.
Sir, Colonel Weston says I should answer any questions you might have. Murder. Isn't it horrible?
It is indeed. What can you tell me about the murder?
Nothing. Nothing at all. I had to go rake that tennis court again this morning. I was there from 10:30 until several of the guests turned up to play around 12. Can you believe somebody had been digging it up?
That is terrible. I am sorry you were put to so much trouble.
Oh, that's all right. It's not as if you did it.
This is a washout. He knows nothing.
He can still be useful, Hastings. See if you can find out how.
Weźmy to o duchu.
I saw Tom Cutter's ghost last night.
You did? Now folk will believe me. They thought it was just the liquid carriage making me see things.
How is this useful, may I ask?
Mówił pan, że wkrótce zostanie płetwonurkiem w marynarce.
You told me you will be the Navy frogman soon.
Yes, sir. I hope this murder doesn't hold things up.
You can swim deep as well as fast?
I should hope so.
Mademoiselle
może
Brewster
ona
tells me
wyciągnie,
something
no
was
właśnie.
thrown into the rocky bath. Do you think you could swim down and find it?
I suppose I could under ordinary circumstances, but this murder has right unmanned me. If I had something that would brace me up, that might do it. Liquid courage, if you catch my meaning.
Mal Hastings, you at least seem to be following my story. We now know the service George can perform for us. We lack only the means to enlist his aid. Merci, Monsieur George. I will speak with you again.
You know where to find me, sir?
Czyli idziemy do hotelowego baru, po jakiegoś drinkola dla niego. Znając moje szczęście, będę musiała wybrać odpowiedniego drinka. Chodźmy. Jest barman.
Afternoon, Mr. Poirot. Terrible thing, this murder. I hope you get to the bottom of it. Need a little stimulation to help you think? Choose from the menu if you like.
I say, some tasty concoctions here, Poirot.
Właśnie. O rany. O rany. Które byście wybrali? Ja nie mam pojęcia. Może to? O, sprawdźmy.
Sorry, sir. All out of dark rum and grenadine, I'm afraid. Blame George. It's his favourite drink.
Allow me the contribution.
Dark rum. I can certainly use this. Thank you, sir.
I say, some tasty concoctions here, Poirot.
Czekajcie.
Sorry, sir. All out of dark rum and grenadine, I'm afraid.
Allow me the contribution.
Cough syrup? I can't serve cough syrup to my customers.
I say, some tasty concoctions here, Poirot.
I am sorry, mon ami, but I do not believe that course will help you. This is neither that time nor... That is not going to help.
Nie mamy żadnej innej butelki. Mamy tylko
Jaka?
butelkę syropu na kaszel. Mamy termos na kawę Arlenę i nic więcej.
Sorry, sir. All out of dark rum and grenadine, I'm afraid. Blame George. It's his favourite drink.
Allow me the contribution.
Cough syrup? I can't serve cough syrup to my
No to
customers.
potrzebujemy
I
butelkę,
say,
nie?
some tasty concoctions here, Poirot.
Moment, może gdzieś ją tutaj znajdziemy. O, jest! Proszę.
It appears to be an empty bottle of the grenadine.
To moment. Teraz powinno nam się udać. O. Idziemy do barmana. W ukryciu to zrobiliśmy.
Afternoon, Mr. Poirot. Terrible thing, this murder. I hope you get to the bottom
Nie
of
ma
it.
sprawy.
Need a little stimulation.
Jeszcze
I
raz.
say,
Sorry, sir. All out of dark rum and grenadine, I'm afraid. Blame George. It's his favourite drink.
Allow me the contribution.
Grenadine? I can't imagine where you found it, but thank you, sir. This will do nicely. I can now make Planter's Punch
No,
again.
wspaniale.
There you go.
Merci.
i idziemy do George'a, żeby sobie przepłukał gardziołko. Chodźmy.
A planter's punch. This will do nicely. Thank you, sir. That certainly restored my nerves wonderfully. Now then, you had a bit of diving you wanted me to do.
Dobrze, chodźmy. A zobaczmy jeszcze tą butelkę. Chociaż nie, chodźmy tam, gdzie pójdziemy do pani Castle. Przesłuchamy ją. O, jest.
Madame Castle.
Mr. Poirot, Colonel Weston has informed me that I am to give you my full cooperation. He suggested that I allow you access to whatever you need in the hotel, no matter how private.
I hope that does not distress you unduly, madame.
Well, my duty to the owners, but I have little choice. Here is the master key. This will unlock any door in the hotel.
Merci, madame.
Czy może mi pani zrelacjonować swoje działania pomiędzy za 15:11 a za 20:12 dzisiejszego przedpołudnia?
Can you account for your movements between 11:45 and 12 this morning?
Well, from 10 o'clock till 11:45, I was seeing to it the staff were all performing their duties. Then that the dining room was cleared and made ready for luncheon. That was until noon. It was a very ordinary morning until...
Quite so.
Czy któryś z gości zachowywał się w niezwykły sposób?
Did you notice any of the guests behaving unusually?
Let me think. Mr. Redfern seemed agitated, underfoot, asking if anyone had seen Mrs. Marshall.
What time was this?
Between 10 and 10:30, I would say.
Proszę mi opowiedzieć o kanapkach i termosach z kawą przygotowanych rano dla gości.
Tell me about the sandwiches and flasks of coffee prepared for the guests this morning.
Mr. Lane asked for sandwiches and coffee. He was planning on hiking, I believe. Mrs. Marshall asked for coffee only. Those were the only requests this morning.
How early are they put out on the table in the dining room?
Directly after breakfast. No later than 9:30. I wonder if you would excuse me, This has quite unsettled me, I'm afraid.
Of course, madame.
She's rattled by more than the murder.
You are correct, Hastings. The idea that I would have access to anything here in the hotel obviously includes the contents of her safe.
Think she'll do a bunk?
If she makes the... what was it you said?
Think she'll try to sneak away?
Oh, yes indeed. It is good that Colonel Weston is prepared to have her followed.
Dobrze, kochani, idziemy pomieszkować w pokojach. Od kogo by tutaj zacząć? Może z tej strony. Chodźmy do pokoju pani Emily.
Believe me when I tell you, Hastings, there was nothing of interest in those drawers.
A to?
This may be important. I'll keep it in my notebook.
Dobrze, od razu zobaczmy. Coś jeszcze?
Poirot approves of their symmetry. Poirot
Symetrię mówisz? Dobrze, czyli nic więcej tutaj chyba nie znajdziemy. Idziemy dalej. Pokój państwa Gardenów. Zobacz. W filmie akurat... Aha, czyli muszę mały... Trochę to potrwa. Tak, ja bym to dała na górze. Czy to można obracać? A, czyli tak. Może tak. To tak. Tak. Nie tu, tylko tu. A może tak? Coś nie, chodziło mi o to. Albo moment. Tu tak. Tu są już... To tu. To tu. To tu. Dobrze, na razie tak. A zobaczmy. O, nie mogę wprost panu opisać, jak bardzo cieszyłam się na myśl o wcieleniu w postać Iryny w tej znakomitej sztuce szachowa. Co tu pisze? 3. Nie. O, 3 siostry. Jestem... Jestem, co tu pisze? Może jestem pewna, że pańskie że pański nie tu, iż jestem pański, niestety tutaj jest coś podkreślone, tak, pański mały teatr, może tutaj trzeba zamienić, nie, ale to będzie tutaj, nie, że pański mały teatr może zdoła zdołał, czyli, że pański mały teatr może zdołał albo zdoła nie, ale zapewniam pana, iż nie. Nie, to było dobrze. Czy mały teatr może tu zdołał, tak, przygotować prawdziwie imponujące przedstawienie, zdolne przyciągnąć wielu widzów. Niestety pewne wypadki osobiste spowodowały, iż natychmiast muszę udać się do Stanów Zjednoczonych. Ale zapewniam, iż odciągają mnie jest nie tu odciągają mnie od tej akurat dostała rolę w filmie, to nie mogę tego usunąć, nie? O tej wspaniałej tak, może nie, to wspaniałej adaptacji, prawdziwie ważne powody, że tu to chyba będzie niżej. Tak, to będzie chyba niżej. Moment, nie, to ma być tu, to jestem pewna, to będzie chyba tu. To bym dała tu. Tak. Coś tutaj jeszcze musi być. Może to. To sobie zamieńmy. To bym dała tu. Tak, akurat dostała rolę w filmie. Szczerze oddana. Może to będzie tu. Wierzę, iż... że tu... O! Wierzę, iż w niedalekiej przyszłości nadarzy się okazja, byśmy mogli razem pracować. Tak, udało nam się ładnie ułożyć. Nie mogę wprost panu opisać, jak bardzo cieszyłam się na myśl o wcieleniu się postać Iryny w tej znakomitej sztuce Czechowa. Trzy siostry. Jestem pewna, że pański mały teatr zdołał przygotować prawdziwie imponujące przedstawienie, zdolne przyciągnąć wielu widzów. Niestety pewne wypadki osobiste spowodowały, iż natychmiast muszę udać się do Stanów Zjednoczonych. Ktoś tutaj to opisał, akurat dostała rolę w filmie. Pewne wypadki, no. Oznacza to, iż niestety nie będę w stanie wziąć udziału w pańskim przedstawieniu. Jestem bardzo smutna z powodu rozczarowania, jakie zmuszona jestem panu zgotować, ale zapewniam pana, iż odciągają mnie od tej wspaniałej adaptacji prawdziwie ważkie powody. Jestem pewna, iż zdoła mi pan wybaczyć. Wierzę, iż w niedalekiej przyszłości nadarzy się okazja, byśmy mogli razem pracować. Szczerze oddana Arlena Marshall. Czyli państwo Gardner też mieli powód, aby pozbyć się Arleny Marshall. Coś jeszcze? Tutaj zabierz.
Interesting. I'll put it in my notebook.
Tam to było bardzo interesujące. Ogłoszenie. wychodzimy. O, Gladys. Będzie chciała z nami rozmawiać, czy raczej nie?
Mademoiselle?
Mr. Poirot, you gave me such a start. I'm all nerves.
Is all well, mademoiselle?
What were you doing in your bath yesterday? It was such a mess. It took forever to clean it up.
It is a little hard to explain that...
Well, never you mind. I took care of it. It's my job.
How are things between you and Monsieur Wiljenks?
Mr. Poirot, the Marshal girl told me that there is nothing between her and my will. Everything's patched up.
I am so glad.
She also told me that you had a hand in clearing up that mystery. If you need a helping hand in this horrible murder case, you just let me know.
To dobrze, to przy niej możemy, kochani, szperać po pokojach.
This room belongs to Mr. Blatt.
Zobacz.
Ah, beautiful and without clutter. They are... Well, would you look at that?
I say, what caused that oily spot?
My nose tells me it is some kind of oil. A test would determine it more precisely.
Dobrze, idziemy dalej. Teraz pokój Lejna.
If I remember correctly, this must be Stephen Lane's room.
Tak, dokładnie, wejdźmy. Tu już nic nie powinno być, ale przyjrzyjmy się. Może coś nowego? Nie, dalej wszystko tak samo. To idziemy dalej. Omijamy nasz pokój i idziemy do pokoju kolejnego.
I think this room belongs to Major Barry.
U niego też byliśmy. Zobaczmy, czy coś się zmieniło.
I believe we've damaged Major Barry's
Czyli
suitcase
nie
to...
musimy przeszukiwać walizy. Bo się bałam, że zostaliśmy znowu przyłapani, ale nie. Dobrze, to idziemy dalej. Do pokoju Redfernów. O, zobacz tu.
A rather touching photograph.
Czy tą fotografię mamy? Tak, wyglądają na bardzo szczęśliwe, właśnie. Zobaczmy, coś tutaj jeszcze jest. Zobacz tu.
Mrs. Redfern's sketching supplies.
Mamy zobaczyć, dotknąć, nie. Dobrze, idziemy dalej. O! Porozmawiamy z nią.
May I put to you some questions, mademoiselle?
Of course, I'll do anything I can to help.
Proszę opowiedzieć o pani dzisiejszym poranku.
Could you please tell me of your movements this morning?
I had breakfast shortly after 9, say 10 past. Then I collected my book, spoke with you in the lobby briefly, and went to read at the Ledgers. That must have been about 25 past 10. I came back to the hotel about 10 minutes to 12, got my tennis racket and played until about 1.
From about 10:30 until 20 minutes of 12, you were at the Ledges and never left there during that time?
Not entirely. At about 11, I went back to my room to fetch my sun hat. I saw Kenneth Marshall typing in his room.
Indeed? From the hall, perhaps? Or the balcony?
The hall. His door was slightly ajar.
Czy dzisiejszego ranka widziała pani Madame Marshall?
Did you see Madame Marshall this morning?
No.
You did not see her as she paddled her float round to Cutter's Cove?
No, she must have gone before I got there.
Czy widziała pani kogoś na desce lwówce?
Did you see anyone at all on a float or in a boat?
At the ledgers? Possibly Mr. Blatt. At least I think it was his boat. It had a white sail, though.
You didn't see Monsieur Redfern and Mademoiselle Brewster when they rode past?
No, I don't think I did. You see, I was reading, only glancing up occasionally.
Czy ktoś mijał panią po drodze?
Did anyone pass you on the path?
I was on the lower ledge. Unless someone had called out to me, I doubt I would have noticed them.
O ile dobrze wnoszę, znała się pani z kapitanem Marshallem?
You were, I think, acquainted with Captain Marshall?
He is an old family friend. We grew up next door to one another, although I had not seen him for a good many years. It must be nearly 12.
Czy Marshallowie byli dobrym małżeństwem?
Were the Marshalls on good terms with one another?
On perfectly good terms, I should say.
Monsieur Marshall, he was very devoted to his wife?
Ken, Mr. Marshall is rather old-fashioned. He hasn't got the modern habit of shouting matrimonial woes upon the housetop.
Lubiła pani Madame Marshall?
Did you like Madame Marshall?
No.
Why was that?
She was bored to death with women and showed it. On the other hand, men were a very different story.
Do you think her husband was aware of her interests in that line?
I think that he accepted his wife quite frankly for what she was. He had no illusions about her. But I could be wrong.
Czy zna pani kogoś, kto żywił urazę do Madame Marshall?
Do you know of anyone with a grudge against Madame Marshall?
Only wives. But since she was strangled, I presume that it was a man who killed her.
Mademoiselle, may I ask a favor of you?
You found my typewriter, Monsieur Poirot. I am in your debt.
What would you have me ask, Hastings?
Ona jest projektantką mody, więc na pewno bardzo dużo wie o tkaninach. Poprosimy ją, czy mogłaby porównać kilka kawałków materiału.
Could you compare some pieces of fabric for me?
I would be happy to. Fabric is something I know quite a bit about.
Merci. The perfect favor to ask. You are learning to exercise their little graces
Dziękuję.
with great skill. It would seem the obvious request.
This cut piece is fine silk. From a lady's hat, I would say. The torn bit is rayon, inexpertly dyed.
Many thanks, mademoiselle. I thank you for your cooperation.
Dobrze, wyjdziemy stąd. Udamy się do pokoju Lindy. Popatrz na jej kapelusz.
That's a rather nasty-looking stick pin.
Coś jeszcze, nie? Tutaj.
I'd certainly like to see what Miss Marshall has stashed in there.
Then the combination to the box. It must be found. Trial and error will not open it.
Metodą prób i błędów, powiadasz. No nie wiem.
A mystery of the highest order.
No nie wiem bardzo. Czekaj, jak to się obracać?
Baffling, Poirot.
Moment.
Baffling, Poirot. Baffling.
To musimy jakoś obrócić, nie?
Baffling.
No,
Baffling,
no
Poirot.
dobrze.
A mystery of the highest order.
Chyba to zostawimy jak na razie. Postaramy się to później odgadnąć co i jak. O, zobacz tu.
Linda's watch. It agrees with yours exactly, Poirot.
Therefore they watch. It is correct to the second.
Dobrze. Coś tutaj jeszcze mamy zobaczyć? Nie. Wrócimy do tego pokoju. Teraz pójdziemy do pokoju jej ojca. O!
Forgive the intrusion, Captain Marshall. My condolences. Forgive me, but I must impose upon you.
Carry on.
Poirot, I just saw a shadow by the balcony door. I think someone is out there listening.
Ah, well, we will let them listen, I think.
Pani Marszal była pańską drugą żoną.
Mrs. Marshall was your second wife?
Yes,
You have been married how long?
just over 2 years.
The marriage? It was a happy one?
Certainly.
Ma pan jakiś pomysł, kto mógł zabić pana żonę?
Have you any idea who might have killed your wife?
None whatever.
Had she any enemies?
Possibly.
I say.
Oh?
Don't misunderstand me. Arlena was an actress. She was also a good-looking woman. She aroused a certain amount of jealousy, envy, hatred, malice.
From men as well as women?
Mostly women.
Czy pani Marszal miała w hotelu jakichś znajomych?
Was Mrs. Marshall previously acquainted with anyone in this hotel?
I believe she had met Mr. Redfern before, at some cocktail party.
Jak wyglądał pana dzisiejszy poranek?
How did you spend your time this morning?
I breakfasted downstairs at 10 minutes after 9 o'clock. After that, I went down to the bathing beach where I saw you. I had a quick bathe. Let me see. At about 20 minutes to 11, I returned here to type some letters. I typed until 10 minutes to 12. I then changed into tennis kit as I had a date to play tennis at 12.
Who else played the tennis?
Mrs. Redfern, Miss Darnley, and Mr. Gardner. I went down at 12 o'clock. Miss Darnley was there. Mr. Gardner and Mrs. Redfern arrived a few minutes later. We played for about an hour. Just as we came into the hotel afterwards, I got the news.
When was the last time you saw your wife?
9 o'clock. She was in her room opening her letters.
What was her manner? Unusual at all?
No, perfectly normal.
Did she mention at all what were the contents of the letters?
No.
Proszę wybaczyć moje pytanie, ale czy nie miał pan nic przeciwko zażyłości pańskiej żony z panem Redfernem?
You did not, pardon me, object to your wife's friendship with Monsieur Redfern?
I wasn't in the habit of criticizing my wife's conduct.
You did not protest or object in any way?
Certainly not.
Packet of lies. We overheard them arguing.
Nie zaprzeczy pan, że pan Redfern adorował pańską żonę?
You will not deny then that Monsieur Redfern admired your wife?
He probably did. Most men did. She was a very beautiful woman.
You were persuaded there was nothing personal in the affair?
I never thought about it.
Utter rot.
Did your wife leave a will?
You know, I'm not sure.
Her solicitors?
Barkett and Applegood, Bedford Square. They handled all of her business affairs.
Was she well off?
Well, yes, her career was very successful, as I've told you. I would expect she was worth in the neighborhood of £50,000.
Then you would call your wife a rich woman?
I'll say.
I suppose she was, really. See here, Poirot. Aren't you getting a good way from the essentials of this business? What I believe or don't believe is surely not relevant to the plain fact of murder.
You do not comprehend, Captain Marshall. There is no such thing as the plain fact of murder. Murder springs 9 times out of 10 out of the character and circumstances of the murdered person. Because the victim was the kind of person he or she was, therefore was he or she murdered. Until we can comprehend fully and completely exactly what kind of person Arlena Marshall was, we shall not be able to see clearly exactly the kind of person who murdered her.
Was there anything else?
Not at present, thank you.
Feel free to nose around all you like. I need some air.
Mamy się tutaj rozejrzeć. Czy już wszystko widzieliśmy? Zobaczmy. Tak, no to idziemy teraz do pokoju Arleny, czyli naszej ofiary. No, co się dzieje? Czekajcie, o, dobra. Chodźmy.
This room belongs to the beautiful Arlena Stewart, Marshall.
Zobaczmy, tam nic, tu nic. Wejdźmy do środka.
I say, old man, are we looking for anything in particular in here?
Oczywiście.
We are indeed Hastings. We look for that which is not here.
Oh, that's a big help.
Zobaczmy tu. Perfumy.
Arlena Marshall's most delightful and expensive perfume. It is the same as that which we found in the cave.
I to. To wszystko. Chodźmy dalej. Tu coś jest.
Looks like ordinary bath salts. Poirot, open the lid.
I cannot, Hastings. The lid, it is screwed on most tightly.
I zabierzemy to.
There are red hairs caught in the bristles. No mistaking that color.
To chyba wszystko. A w pokoju mamy się rozejrzeć. Chodź tutaj.
This looks important. I will keep it in my notebook.
Dobrze, zobaczmy. Dobrze, i tutaj coś jeszcze leży.
I'll just put this in my notebook.
Zobaczmy. A. Uhuhu. Dobrze, to chyba wszystko. Przeszukaliśmy pokój Arleny. I na tym będziemy kończyć nasz dzisiejszy odcinek, który mam nadzieję, że Wam się podobał. Ja oczywiście jak zwykle zapraszam Was serdecznie do oglądania dalej tej serii i mówię Wam już pa pa!